everyone, it's J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the September 18, 2017 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. Thank you for those of you that were watching, and even those of you who said you loved the video we tried to do earlier a few moments ago. We're having technical difficulties. There's something about our new house that seems to have difficulty sometimes with transmissions, and they just stop for no reason halfway through. So we will start again. We are looking today, as we did yesterday, at Exodus chapter 12, which is the instructions by Moses to the Israelites in Egypt about how they were to eat the Passover, the very first Passover meal. And one of the things that is a detail in chapter 12 of Exodus is that they were to eat this meal in a state of readiness, with their sandals on, with their staffs in their hand, ready to go. Now, this is not the way in which they would eat the Passover in subsequent years, when it was a memorial, when it was a celebration of what happened that momentous night. But on that particular night, it was to be eaten quickly and in a state of readiness and preparedness. Why is that? The Passover was all about God's deliverance, about His saving people, about Him reaching out and delving into a specific moment in time, a real historical time with real people, and intervening on their behalf to save them. And He was going to do it quickly. Now, you might have said, well, He didn't act so quickly. They'd been slaves for 430 years. This is true. However, when God acts, He has a tendency of acting quickly. Many of us can testify to this. I know that most of the momentous things in my life I have prayed about, and maybe for a long period of time, and nothing happened. But then, when God decided to act, boom, He acted suddenly. Absolutely. I'll tell you an example just from this year. Many of you know that we sold my childhood home of 45 years. I had lived there, and we had it on the market for 4 years. And that was very distressing. We thought it would be a very quick sale because it was, it's a beautiful, beautiful home. And I would pray, of course, for all that time. But when God decided it was time, it was 1 month from the time that the new owner saw the house for the first time, and we were moving into the new house. 1 month to the day, that fast. Look at even the salvation by Jesus Christ. The whole passion of Christ on the cross took 6 hours. Now, that was 6 hours of agony. And of course, there were other things too before that, the Garden of Gethsemane and the beating and all. But the actual time on the cross was a relatively short amount of time, 6 hours. And we know that because of Hebrew numerology, 6 is the number associated with man, appropriate because God, Jesus, was taking the place of man on the cross at that time. But 6 hours is not, in anybody's estimation, a very long period of time. And then Christ, according to prophecy, was to be resurrected on the third day. And we know that Hebrew time schedules say that you count a portion of every day. Jesus apparently stayed in that tomb the absolute minimum amount of time in order to fulfill prophecy. In other words, He wasn't beating around any bush. He was getting on with it. And I find that is exactly what God does. When you look at your own life, when you look at things in the Bible, you notice that God has a way of acting. When it is time to act, He acts with all deliberate haste. Things happen quickly. How many of us can testify that our lives have changed, maybe from a relationship, maybe professionally, literally overnight, within a moment or two? Radical changes, huge changes. It is amazing how quickly God works when in the fullness of time He is ready to intervene. And so let us remember that even today, As we wait to be saved in some way, as we are asking for deliverance in some way from God in our personal or professional lives, when it is time, we have to be ready, because God is going to move like lightning. He's going to put opportunities in front of you that you need to leap at. You need to have your sandals on your feet and your staff in your hand. God, when he acts swiftly. And you and I better be ready. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Visit me on the next edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great day.